Welcome to Satsang. Apologies for starting so late today, but hopefully you all come here after being with us in the Ganga Arti, so if the Arti's late, you at least know that we're going to be really late in starting, and we had a very special guest in the Arti today, and so it started late and was a special, beautiful celebration. So if you don't go to Arti first and you come straight here, try to join us for the Arti. It's such a heavenly, divine experience opportunity. How do we motivate others to choose the greater good? Environmentalism, fair trade, organics, vegetarianism, etc., when they just don't care. So you can't make somebody care, sadly. As anyone who's ever tried to make someone love them knows. You can do everything, but you can't actually make someone else deeply care. However, a lot of the things that were mentioned here, environmentalism, fair trade, organics, vegetarianism, these are things where they may not care about the thing you care about, but probably there's something they do care about. For example, in the Hindu tradition, the cow is considered holy. And so for time immemorial, Hindus have worshipped the cow, loved the cow, and therefore don't eat the cow. Don't eat other animals as well, out of a feeling and an awareness that all species are our sisters and brothers. We believe Vasudev Kutumbakam, the world is a family, so whether it's people of different colors or races or religions, or whether it's different species, different animals, we believe they are our sisters and brothers. Now, a lot of times what we get is parents who will come and they'll say, "Can you please talk to my child?" Or somebody will bring in a friend who's not Hindu and say, "Can you please talk to him or her and explain why they should be vegetarian?" And the child or the other person says very honestly and openly, "I don't see the cow as holy. Sweet animal, but I don't actually see it as a holy animal. I don't actually see animals as our sisters and brothers. My scriptures tell us that God gave us dominion over the planet. So why, therefore, should I not eat what I want to eat?" And here's what's really beautiful. Whether you look at vegetarianism, environmentalism, issues of fair trade, all of these doing the right things that the questioner asked, there's so many reasons that if they don't care about one, you've got others. So for example, if people don't think the cow is holy, or that animals are our sisters and brothers, that's okay. Do they care about starving children? I mean, almost everybody cares about starving children. It's hard not to care about that. Do they care about children who are literally dying of starvation every day? hard not to care about that. Do they care about our planet running out of water? Again, it's hard not to care about that. And yet our food choices, especially animal agriculture, play a huge role, a huge causational role in world hunger, in environmental destruction, in water shortages. So if they don't think the cow is holy, they don't care about the cow, that's okay. As long as they care about starving children. Or as long as they care about the planet running out of water. Similarly, you look at fair trade, for example. Well, fair trade means everything ranging from how the crops are raised to how things are manufactured. Okay, some people may not necessarily care about pesticides or fertilizers or chemicals in the plants. A lot of people think, if it were really that harmful, our government would protect us. If it was really that harmful, it wouldn't be allowed to be sold. Right? A lot of us have this beautiful but illusory idea that somehow if something were really harmful, neither our governments, nor the corporations, nor the supermarkets would actually enable us to buy it. So they don't believe in that. Okay, no problem. What about women and kids working in sweatshops? Do they care about that? Again, hard not to care. Hard not to care about child labor. Hard not to care about women in bonded labor in sweatshops so that we can buy more, cheaper. So exercise your creativity. It may be some extra research that you have to do. Find something they care about. Everybody cares about something. Even if it's just themselves. Well, God, think about your own karma, right? Even if they don't care about women and children in sweatshops, do they care about their own karma? Do they care about the karmic repercussions of benefiting from violence, of benefiting from oppression? You can always find something that everyone cares about. And so rather than going into these kinds of discussions with, this is the angle I think from, and if you don't think like that, there's a problem with you. Instead of that, think about, is there another angle? Might there be another way to have this conversation? Everybody. Everybody really worthy of being friends with or married to cares about something. If they don't care about anything in the world, then you've got to ask yourself, what exactly am I doing here in this relationship? If someone doesn't have the capacity to care about anyone or anything, then ask yourself, why are you beating your head against the wall anyway? Maybe it's just that person's karmic journey to live in that way this lifetime. Okay, it's all right. The universe is infinitely patient. They'll get another lifetime to develop compassion and clarity and discrimination and truthfulness and love, and it's okay. But why are you stuck in that then? So if they do care about anything, find the thing they care about and go in that way. And if they really don't care, then just surrender to their own karmic journey, their own karmic package. It's okay. There are people in this world who just are like that. And we just have to bow to their karmic experience and the perfection of the law of karma. But you do have to ask yourself what you're doing in the relationship and whether it makes sense for you to be there, someone who cares so deeply. Other questions? Any question that anyone here has? Yeah. And then coming to you.
I was here a few days ago, and someone asked you something about how to be attractive, and to sum up your long and beautiful answer, you said that it's about developing the love of God in you. And I'm asking, how do you practically do that? Like, it's easy to say just love God, love the divine, love the blissful divine that is in you, but how do you actually develop that love?
Beautiful. और सूरज भी अंदर जाके हम कृष्ण इन लोगों से बात कर लीजिएगा, थोड़ा सा शांत हो जाए अपना. Here's the beautiful thing. God is infinite. God is everything. We believe that there is nothing in the universe not pervaded by God. So do you love anyone? Do you love anything? If you can't love God in a specific form or in no form, it's okay. A lot of times people feel really badly about that. You know, I pray to Krishna, or I pray to Ram, or I pray to Jesus Christ, or I pray, whatever our religion may be. But I can't really develop that bhakti, that love for them in my heart. And then when I try to pray to God with no name, no form, just this infinite supreme reality, I mean, it's hard to develop love for that. It's easy to feel in awe, but it's hard to love something so intangible as infinite supreme reality, right? I mean, how do you even get that going? And that's okay, because the core essence of everyone and everything is God. So as long as you can love someone not for their body, not for what they say or do, not for how they behave, not for what they do for you, not for all of the temporal stuff, the stuff that changes, the aspects of the physical body. But if you really love the essence of that being, what we would call the soul, the spirit of that being, you're loving God. And so focus on it in that way. Begin by choosing the person it's easiest to love. The one from whom you have the least expectations of they should act like this, talk like that, treat me like this. The one where it's just the easiest to love. And then really focus on loving their essence. But when you do that, do it with awareness that what you're loving is God. So when you look in their eyes, be aware, be consciously aware in your own mind that what you are looking at and to and for is the divine in them. So it's not I'm looking at you and, do you really love me? Do you really love me? Do you really think I'm beautiful? But it's, I'm looking for that divine in you. And what that'll do It'll make your relationships much deeper and more powerful. It'll make you much less likely to get all upset about random, stupid nonsense. And B, it'll start to give you an experience of the divine, and then start to expand it out. Can you love a tree? Can you hug a tree and feel the presence of the divine? And just start to look for opportunities in people, in nature, in a sunset. You know, if you've got kids or nephews or nieces or just children you love, and they draw you pictures. Now, when they're young, these pictures are nothing. I mean, they're scribbles. But what do? We put them up on the fridge, we frame them, we love them. Why? Because we love the artist. Anybody else would say, why in the world do you have these, purple scribbles on an orange piece of construction paper up on your fridge? Like, that is just not art. But you love the creator of those orange scribbles or purple scribbles on orange construction paper so much that when you look at it, what you see is the one you love. And so you love to look at it. And you're going to frame it, you're going to put it where you see it every day. In the same way, as you look at the creation, look at sunrises, look at sunsets, look at the stars in the sky. This is the artwork of the Creator. So if you already love the Creator, it's easy to love the creation. You love the kids, so you love the drawings. But you can also go the other way. Through loving the art, you can start to love the artist. Wow, just look at a sunrise. When you go out of here, go look at the full moon. Coming in from Aarti, how could you not feel love for the being, the energy, who has gifted us with such beauty? Don't get caught up in what form of God am I loving? What does this mean? It's okay. Just allow the experience of love. You see the moon, you see the sunset, you see a beautiful mountain range, you see the flowing river. As you look at creation, allow yourself to love that. And just notice that slowly, 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 love starts to blossom for the one who created that. It's like you go to a restaurant, you have an exquisite meal, and people say, oh, could I meet the chef for a moment? Like, could you just bring the chef out here? Because that was the best meal I've ever had. And there's just an inner instinct to want to get to know the one who has gifted you with something that you've enjoyed so much. So allow yourself to just start to love the creation, the expression of the Creator, and it'll take you back to God. Yeah. Yes.
Well, first of all, it's amazing to be sitting right in front of you and hearing you speak. We were there at the Aarti, and amazed by Guruji's 3 words, which is that one is time management, second is thought management, and third is tongue management, which is very relevant in today's world. I wanted a little more deep dive on the tongue management part.
Time or tongue?
Tongue.
Tongue,
Yes.
okay.
So do we hold back sometimes what we want to say just because we don't want an altercation? Or
Great.
Or do we just express what's there inside us? Or do we be diplomatic about it?
Great. Tongue management. Today in art, the Pujya Sadhviji gave us a 3-point mantra for a happy life, happy relationships, happy family, tongue management, thought management, time management. So you've asked tongue management. As far as the speech part, because tongue management also, of course, means what we eat, what we take in. But the speech part, in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna gives us the perfect answer. He says, tapas of speech, the right speech, is that which is true and kind and beneficial. It must actually fulfill all 3 criteria in order to be spoken. So do you hold back? You hold back only if that which you're going to say, while it may be true, is neither kind nor beneficial. You're walking out of the house to go to a party. Person with you is wearing something. She says, "Does this dress make me look fat?" Now, maybe she is fat, and especially maybe she's recently gained a lot of weight. Well, no dress can hide that. Now, what are you going to achieve on the way to an event by saying, "Oh yeah, it makes you look fat"? It's neither kind nor beneficial. But on the other hand, you also can't say, "Oh no, you look like a ravishing, runway model," because she knows it's not true. So you find a way. You find a way to say that which is true in a way that is both kind and beneficial. And there are some things that are just better not spoken. I'll give you a personal experience of this, personal story. When I was my senior year in high school, so I was 17. And I had always been someone, in the West, when we are committed, I was not spiritual, but I considered myself deeply ethical and really rooted in values, and truth was one of them. I was a hardcore vegan and, organic and fair trade at that age, and truth for me was really important. Truth at all costs, like, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not going to hold back the truth, I don't want you to do it with me. Truth will conquer everything. So my boyfriend, who was my first love, who at the time I thought we were soulmates, we were going to be together forever. Being in love at 17 is something very precious and sweet. And he was a year older. And so we had been together since my junior year, since I was 15 or 16. My senior year, he went off to college in Northern California, quite far away. So my dad, who's a divorce attorney, and I are having dinner one night, and he says to me, "So what are you and Eric going to do now that he's going off to college?" And I said, "Oh, we're going to have an open relationship." And my dad says, "That sounds very interesting. Tell me about it." Anybody, by the way, who's a parent of a teenager, take lessons from my dad. He gets gold stars all around. So he says, "That sounds very interesting. Why don't you tell me about that?" And I said, "Well, it means that we will date other people, because of course we're so far away, but we will be totally honest with each other about it. We'll tell each other everything. And we will stay together forever, because we are soulmates." So my dad doesn't say, "What, are you nuts?" He says, "So let me get this straight. you're going to date other people, tell each other about it, and stay together forever. And I said, well, yes, of course. And he says, that sounds very interesting. I look forward to hearing how that works out for you. Now, I share that story because that is the far end, the fallacy end of truth at all costs. There is some truth that is just neither kind nor beneficial. I had not yet learned that. When you have something to say, ask yourself, is it true? Because of course, if it isn't true, then absolutely you shouldn't say it. But is it also kind and beneficial? And that doesn't necessarily, by the way, mean in the moment to the ego of that person. We are not here to ensure that people around us do not have to go through their karmic journey. We're not here to ensure that people around us have their egos padded and all of their agendas fulfilled. But we're certainly here not to harm. And sometimes it becomes difficult because sometimes someone's ego or agenda is so wrapped up in untruth that it's very hard to know what to do. And in those cases, I would say speak the truth. Because even though it may be difficult for them in the moment, ultimately in the long run, in the service of their growing and deepening and unfolding, it actually is kind and beneficial. Doesn't mean they're going to necessarily enjoy it in the moment. But in the bigger picture of truth and dharma, it actually is kind and beneficial. And there are times that saying the truth is very difficult. And yet you know it is the kindest thing. Not necessarily in the moment, but in the bigger picture. But it's really critical to get your own ego out of the way there. Because our own ego loves to say things like, well, but it's true. That's why I said it. Sorry if you're hurt, but it was true. Telling someone what you think of them isn't necessarily kind or beneficial in the short run or the long run, unless they can hear it. And this is another important part about honesty. If we know that someone can't hear it, it isn't necessarily honest to speak it. I'll give you another personal example about this. When I first moved to India, I moved here because of God, because I had had an extraordinary spiritual experience of the divine standing on the banks of Ganga. And because when I met Pujya Sadhviji and came into the presence of a guru, I felt the presence of God. Now, I come from a Reformed Jewish community. We were not religious. We were not spiritual, but not religious. Nobody ever talked about God other than, oh my God, or, in other forms of profanity. What I found was when I tried to explain to my parents why I wanted to live in India, and I would talk about God, what they would hear was, she's been brainwashed. She's been kidnapped. She's joined a cult. Something bad has happened to her. And so I'm talking about the most ecstatic spiritual experiences. And what they're hearing is trouble, brainwashing, problem. If you call my highest truth, God, A, and we say every time I speak A, my parents hear C, then speaking A is no longer truth. If I know that when I say A, they hear C, and C is clearly not true, I had not been brainwashed, I had not joined a cult, I had not been kidnapped, I had had a spiritual experience, then for me to speak it is untruth. But what I discovered was there was a B, and B was the children and the women and the schools that we were building and the programs for the women we were doing. And that was also true for me. I mean, I was very excited and touched and inspired to serve and to do the work. It wasn't the main reason. I could have done that work in California. But it was also a very deep and true reason. And when I spoke it, my parents could hear it. And so what I realized was that speaking B was actually more honest than speaking A. Because I spoke A, they heard C. I spoke B, they could hear B. And so B had to become my truth in the communication based on what they could hear. So you've got to ask yourself when you're speaking your truth, is somebody actually able to hear that? Because if they're not, and they hear something different, if you say to somebody, they ask you about the dress, do I look fat? And you say, well, you know, you may have gained a few pounds. And what they hear is, you don't love me anymore. I'm ugly. I'm a worthless human being. Then that's not truth. And even though it's true, you better find a different way of communicating that's more in alignment with what they can hear. And that's a really great and also really beautiful challenge that we have. To start looking at layers of truth and how we communicate them. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, and we got such a late start, and I want to make sure that everyone has time to have dinner before it gets too late. But have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening, everyone. Tomorrow is Hanuman Jayanti. It's a very special day dedicated to Hanumanji. Before the Ganga Aarti, we'll be gathering about an hour early on the Ghat. You'll notice before you walk down to where Aarti is, we have a huge, beautiful Hanumanji deity just to your right as you're walking down to Ganga. We will gather there at 5 to chant the Hanuman Chalisas before the Aarti. So we invite you to join us there. We also, of course, invite you to join us every day for the yoga classes in the morning and the afternoon, and for our sacred fire ceremony, the yagna, that we have each morning at 8:30 in our ancient grove of trees. It's just next to the Vishnu avatars. It's on your way to the Ganga line. If you don't know where it is, just ask anyone where the yagna is. It's at 8:30 in the morning, and everyone is welcome. It's about 20 minutes. Everyone's welcome to join us there as well. And I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow evening.